In what we have seen from the story of Bing, we have seen his attempt to humiliate himself and his family by his beloved wife Shan Shan and her criminal friends. But despite all this, Bing was against the idea of revenge. And we also saw how his father and mother kicked him out of the new house. And because of this, his mother asked him to return the expensive house to his owner. And also his father will see him a close job, and that's enough. So what will Bing do with those who hurt him, and what will come of his surprise? Come with us to know the rest of the story. After his mother asked him to return the expensive house and also told him that his father will see him a job, and even their neighbor, Han Han, will try to help him. Their neighbor tries to call her daughter to inform her that she will see a job for Bing, but the girl does not answer her. And at this time, Bing gets a call from the assistant. He is the one who thanks him for helping him stand against the leader of the Red Dragon Gang, and he says to him, "What do you think we have dinner together?" He says it's time to get rid of Han Han's mother, and he tells him where the place is. He tells him the place, and he enters the building. But suddenly, a girl comes late, and she tells him, "Wait for me." And she talks to her manager, and she tells him, "I'm here." But the strange thing is that she puts on a disgusting perfume because everyone gets out of the elevator except Bing. And she tells him, "Did you like the smell of this perfume?" He says, "Honestly, I do not know how to lie. And the smell is disgusting." She tells him that's fine. And when he focuses on her glances a little, he says, "This girl is like Han Han, our neighbor." Anyway, she goes out and he goes to the restaurant, but he says, "Where is the restaurant here?" And he talks to him and tells him, "Where are you, you idiot?" He says, "I'm here in the building in front of you." He tells him, "Okay, stay where you are. I'm coming to you now." He goes down to the elevator, and suddenly this girl says, "Help me." And we see the guards dragging her inside, and Bing does not hesitate to save her. And he quickly enters the elevator and tells her, "They are kicking you out. Why?" She says, "I have a big debt. And a friend told me, if you go to the manager of the office, he can handle it. But this dog tried to cross me. And that's why I was putting on the disgusting perfume and this disgusting makeup." He says, "Do you think this thing can stop us? You are crazy, right?" She says, "It does not matter. I threw him with the bottom of my shoe on his head." And he was able to escape in the end. But suddenly the guard chases them in the lower floors. And the manager says, "Now I understand that your lover is with you, and that's why I want to run away with her." He gives him a hand and tells the assistants to kill him. But what are you going to do with him? He is Van Damme's son, and he says, "You said you were going to backpedal me. I'm here in front of you." The manager says, "If you touch me, I will follow the palace, and they will not leave you alone." The manager says, "Let's see," and he calls the assistant. He says, "Come to the same building you saw me in, and in front of you are 3 minutes. I am on the 19th floor, and he is going to use the elevator." He reaches him with 2 men, and the first thing he hits him, and he says, "The rest of the beating was a lesson for me." And he says, "This dog says he followed us, and he was going to cross this girl in his office. And that's why anyone who looks like him and works with us, you have to get rid of the group, otherwise you will see the other face from me." He says, "Mr. Bang, everything will be cleaned up now." And they get to know each other, and he says, "You are not our neighbor who graduated near me. How do you have debts?" He says, "My friend got me into a project because I borrowed a lot of money and we lost everything." He says, "Don't worry," and you ask him, "Can you help me?" He says, "No, I'm still out of prison." And the ones above are just bad friends. The important thing is that the girl is leaving, but we are on the other side. We see the retired from the service, Fuhai. He wears his military uniform, and his daughter tells him, "Why are you wearing this old uniform again?" He says, "The leader of the group will visit me today, and I have to be formal in front of him." The guests arrive at this time, and we know that the leader of the group is the father of Bang, and he welcomes him and introduces him to his wife and son, Bang. And after they sit together, he says, "Fuhai, do you know how the guys are? My son went to prison and went out now, but unfortunately he doesn't have a job. If you can help us." He says, "My company also has a lot of money abroad, and I closed it, but my daughter can help him." But his daughter says, "I don't have a claim." He says, "Your friend is the sales manager. He will definitely be able to employ him." But she leaves them and goes. And his son tells him, "Fuhai, we are sorry for the inconvenience, and I think it's time for us to go now." But before, throws them out. And she asks him, "How does this Bang know Sue's family?" He says, "We are bored." But this thug sees her husband, and he asks him, "How are you, uncle?" He says, "Genzu, what are you doing here?" He explains to him that there is someone inside who will give them 300,000. And why do you say his name is Bang? He says, do you know him? She says, no, but I heard the employee says that his card contains 10,000 yen. He says, really? Okay, fine. And Bang took the money and went out and tells them your money is back. That's it. He says, unfortunately, we need 2,000 yen. So I want you to come and bring us 700,000 yen as well. Bang refuses and tells him, leave the money where it is, and uses force one after the other, after the third, and tells them to go back to the Red Dragon Gang. He says, remind me of them, because as long as I live, I will keep hitting you and break his leg. And he goes back to Han Han to tell her that it's over and no one will come close to you. She thanks him and apologizes to him and tells him, I don't know how to thank you, but we will see each other another day. Bang sees his mother wearing his suit to go to the company to meet his friend's daughter and her father, and the daughter calls her father and tells him, if he's late, I will leave him and leave him. Bang goes out and the daughter says a bad word and says, welcome. I forgot. She says, I'm doing this for my father. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cared about you after he gets on. She tells him, don't tell anyone that you know me. They get to Yuki's father's company and Yuki says if she knew that she will work in their company, she will fire me. She says, what company is this? Sue's family company. She says, they don't hire anyone like you. Anyway, they get in and meet their boss. Who loves her? She says, the boy behind me. Came here to work and he knows me. He says, if you don't like him, we can fire him. She says, he was in prison and still outside. I just want you to tell him in the interview that we don't accept arrests, and Bang says, to your father respected. It was a long time before I fired you. Now she says, go back and tell him. Stay outside. We will talk to you. The employee goes to collect the CV, and Bang says, I don't have a CV. In seconds, the girls scream, and the employee says, Bang, get in. He gets in, and they ask him, what is your experience? He says, I graduated from BG, Angel Marmuka, and 3 years ago I was in prison. I heard that your company doesn't accept anyone because he was in prison. He says, who told you this? This is all wrong. And of course, Bang knows how to escape the manager. But in the end, they reject him. But before he gets out, the man enters, who threatened his father and says, you are Bang. He says, this man knows me, and he calls the manager and says, I decided to hire him in the company. He says, and you know the bad manager, Chang? He says, this is the first time I know that this is your manager. And everyone says the new employee knows the manager, and her friends says your friend who got out of prison, hired with you in the same department. He says, I don't know him. And he introduces his friends and says, you will work with Chang. And he says, Chang, I want you to teach him everything. They get to know each other, and Chang tells him, the people here tell you that you were in prison, but you look like a good person. And Bang says it's a long story anyway. They get to know each other, and Chang tells him that the company can get rid of him because of the amount of debts they can't pay. And Bang, and when he sees the amount of money, he says, your general manager is sitting on my chair. And what is he doing? He says, don't talk to anyone. You are rejecting me, or what he says. Our job is to collect debts. And Bang says, don't worry. All the debts will be paid. And I don't need a single yuan. And Chang shakes his head and says, what are you saying? But the pretty girl goes to him. On the first day, because she knows that Bang is poor, she says, since you are in the new company, you have to invite all the employees for dinner. And she says, where will you invite us? He says, who put this law? And his friend says they took 10,000 yen from me. And if you don't do that, no one will deal with him. And Koi says, I put this law. And since you are my employee, you have to follow my rules, he says. Okay, uncle, since you are hungry, your dinner will be on me. And Koi gets mad at him. And Xiao says, leave him. And they keep fighting over him. And suddenly, Xiao's father gets the news that all his debts were repaid. And even their boss begs them to take the money. And Bang was the one who did that. But Xiao says Koi helped Dad with his relationships. He says, yes, I did that. And if there is anything, he will do it. And Bang says, son of a bitch. And Uncle laughs, and Xiao be polite with Koi, so that he will give you a new job. And his father says, take it easy. They are just making fun of him. And Koi says, yes, you didn't thank me for giving you the quo, and you didn't invite us for dinner. And the family party ends, and Xiao takes his father and his mom. And that's it, because in the next part, we will see the party and the truth of Koi in front of everyone. and how Bang will punish the constant lies to reveal the truth. So wait for us with God's will. Do forget to follow the page and subscribe to the channel.